Welcome, Historians. Have you ever wanted to know the sad backstory behind Chuck E. Cheese?
Or why Blake V was so bad?
Then Secret Histories of Nerd Mysteries is the podcast for you. Join host Austin and Brenda on a rollicking journey through obscure nerdy topics.
Be updated with new episodes every Wednesday. Find us wherever you get podcasts.
Beep, beep, boop.
You know things, I know some too. Sit right down, the femsplain them to you. If there's a thing you wanna explain, these two feminists can entertain. Nerdy stuff, sexy stuff, so much to know. Tune in for the Femsplain Show.
Femsplain! Oh, wow. Hi, good morning, Avalon.
Good morning, Diana and Brenda.
Well,
And good morning to our listeners. If we find out that you listen to this podcast at another time of day, it's over for you.
Yes.
It's morning only podcast. Welcome to Femsplained, a nerd femme podcast where the femmes have the mics and everybody of every gender orientation, representation, and identity are welcome to listen, laugh, and learn with us.
That was very succinct.
Thank you.
You seem like you have your business pants on today, and it's making me a little bit nervous.
I have my business pants on. I think it's just because I've been awake since 5 a.m. So I don't know why. I was just cursed.
Oh, no.
With the early morning jitters for no reason. So I've been up for a while, so I do feel very businessy. But yeah, so that's, well, any business attitude I just had left with that ramble. So
Great, cool.
We're okay.
Get it out.
Yes. So we have a special guest, Brenda, with us today.
hello.
Yeah. Hi, Brenda.
Hi.
How are you this morning?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm on Eastern Standard Time, so it's 2 in the afternoon, so I'm already having my afternoon coffee, but it's been a pretty good day so far. It's my dog's birthday, so...
Happy birthday.
That is huge.
Her name is Princess Leia. She's 2.
Happy birthday. So she's 14. Do I have the conversion right?
I think that's right. So she's going
Okay.
into her teen years, so I'm hoping she chills out pretty soon, because anyone who's ever encountered a Labrador knows that they, they just don't know how to chill out.
Yeah. So that's obviously what the podcast today is about, is your dog's birthday.
Yeah. I'm here for that. Yes.
But before we get into topics, we do like to do a little segment called What Has Nerd Culture Done For Us Lately, where we just talk about some things that have filled our nerdy cups recently.
Yes. I feel like the podcast that Brenda co-hosts has a sort of similar structure of what the hell's going on in nerd culture right now. Mm-hmm. Let's yell about it.
Yeah. This week was like a interesting week for nerd culture, because it wasn't a great week. I was hoping that Way of the House Husband was going to be like my good thing, but it wasn't good, so
Oh no, I'm so sorry.
it's a bummer. But the manga, I reread the first volume of the manga, which is absolutely one of my favorite, like maybe like one of my favorite comics in general, and I read a lot of comics. It's like so snappy and like, oh, it's so good. It's just like,
That's awesome.
yeah.
I did just.
We're gonna do this. No, it's fine. I was hearing so much hype about this anime, and I didn't even realize it had come out, because now everyone is very quiet, which I guess is a sign.
Yeah.
In Japan, it was advertised as like a web show, but Netflix was just like, it's an anime. So like what everyone expected was like a full motion anime, not like a slideshow like it was.
Oh.
That's the issue. So what I'm finding is that people who haven't read the comic yet enjoy it, because it's really just like almost exact shots from the comic, just like kind of with voice acting, and it's good voice acting, and like sound effects added in. So people who haven't read the comic yet are enjoying it, and people who have read the comic are like, this doesn't there's no incentive for me to like see this because it doesn't bring me anything new that I haven't already read. But the premise of Way of the House Husband is that it's about a former Yakuza member named Tatsu. And Tatsu quits the Yakuza and marries his wife, and now he's a house husband, and he's like all about like being the best house husband and like taking care of the houses, and he goes to like cooking classes with like all the housewives in the neighborhood, and it's like very over the top, and it's just very funny. Like one of the best like comedy type books I've read in a long time.
Oh, the premise does sound interesting to me. And obviously I was really, when I saw the cover art for the special, I was like, oh, I'm interested. It sounds like if you already read the comics, you're not getting anything new from that. Right?
No.
Yeah.
It's just like exactly note for note, and some of the timing fell off too. Like just like the comedic timing was like not as punchy or snappy as it should have been. And maybe I was being overcritical because I was very disappointed. But there's ads, like live action ads for the comic that you can find with the same exact guy who does the voice for Tatsu in the anime, like him live action, and it's just like snippets from the comic in an ad. But like that is like so much more bouncy and like snappy and true to the original source material than the whole anime was. And these are just like 1 minute ads.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. Oh, that's a bummer.
But the comic is super good. Oh, go ahead.
I have no sense of how hard or expensive it is to animate a show, but it feels like, I don't know, like push it that little bit further.
Yeah, I guess this is like quote unquote the vision of the director. Like he wanted to kind of animate this, and there was like a quote I found from one of the animators who was like, it would have just been easier to animate this instead of having to like pick scenes and like figure out where to like edit it. Like it was actually a lot more difficult to like not have it be full motion.
Right, I believe that.
And you get like a walk cycle once every like 5 minutes or so, but sometimes even the mouths don't move, and it's like, what is the point?
Oh, all right. So that would be a what has nerd culture done to you?
Yeah.
Yes, it
I
hurt
would say,
me.
rather than for you.
Avalon, anything that nerd culture has done to or for you recently?
I feel like nerd culture is doing to me. Winter
Just one
Soldier
of
and
those
Falcon.
weeks.
I'm just not liking Winter Soldier and
Yeah.
Falcon.
Me neither.
There are aspects of it that I appreciate that it has more representation, certainly, of superheroes, Avengers of color than a lot of the other standalone things that seem to be coming down the pipe. I appreciate that they've touched on some topical issues with it. Gently, I guess. I mean, if you could call it that. But I just feel like as a whole, it feels like a Bourne Identity movie to me.
Right.
And that's not my genre. And I didn't like Captain America, really, for that reason either. The whatever one was in DC, the second one, I guess. But I feel like I have to watch it. So.
Yeah, WandaVision was just so solid that like this just
And it was
can't...
different. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a letdown, like by comparison. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, it's like maybe if this had come out first and I was like, well, this is just like a Marvel thing, so I'm going to watch. But WandaVision just like changed the game. Like it was like interesting and like you couldn't see where it was going. But yeah, Winter Soldier, I promised Austin, who I co-host my podcast with, that I would keep watching. I guess there's like a good scene in this last episode.
good.
But I'm like 2 episodes behind at this point, and it's 40 minutes, and it's like hard to kind of fit it into my schedule. So
Yeah, I am pretty good about paying attention to what I'm watching, unless it's a designated background noise show. But I have found myself staring at my phone during almost every episode of this.
Yeah.
So, and but there is a good scene in this last one.
that's good. Okay. All right. I will keep watching,
Yeah.
but it's on thin ice.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, what about you, Diana?
I actually feel very blessed by nerd culture, so I'm sorry.
What?
Yeah, I'm having a good week with nerd culture.
I'm glad, though.
So,
Yeah.
I do have sad cast party energy, though. Last night was the last episode of City of Mist, All or Nothing, and we had like an hour chat afterwards about like how much we love each other and like how much fun we had, and like all of those like sappy little talks about how inspiring we all are. And so I really love that, and excited about that. So there was that. And then also I have been really into Ink and Liar's show Fate's End in particular. I mean, I've peeked in on other shows of theirs, which are all good, but Fate's End, there is like, I mean, there is some of, first of all, I think like most of the people who are on that show are not on Twitter, and that is killing me. Like I know I want to like follow them and be their friends terribly, but they're all amazing, and the show is so good, and I cannot understand why they are not like one of the top
really
AP
big,
shows on the internet. So I'm really excited about Fate's End. I do not know how to process the fact that they're going to play my Neverland game this month.
Yeah.
Ooh.
How did that come about?
They messaged me about it like a week or so ago, and we're like, just by the way, we're gonna do this, and so I gave them some free copy codes and discount codes and stuff for their chat, and they haven't told me yet which players are going to be in it, which I'm weirdly very invested in, because there are some people on that cast who are like so good. So anyway, I feel really, really intensely lucky because they are entertaining me like almost every night of the week, and also they are doing such a nice thing.
I'm a fairly petty person, so I do need to take this opportunity to say I plugged Fate's End.
Yes, you did.
In January on this podcast.
Yes, you did.
So don't come in here taking credit
no,
for it.
Absolutely not. You are the one that turned me on to them in the first place.
Thank you.
And like with all things, I followed them, and then it took me a while to actually like sit down and watch. And then once I did, I was like, what the fuck?
I know, their production value alone is amazing.
Yeah.
Anyway, good. I just need to make sure that I got in there with some credit.
I am not Columbusing the Fates End show, I promise.
Because you do that.
I know. I know. I promise. Avalon was the
I have so little.
It was your discovery, I promise.
Thank you.
So that is what nerd culture has done for us lately. Last week I femsplained about one of my favorite shows, Kino's Journey, or Kino no Tabi, to Avalon. But this week we're gonna pass the mic to Brenda to talk about something. Before we do we want to mansplain for this one? I think he could, yeah. Before we talk about anything, we better bring a man in here to explain it to us first and let us know what's going on. So take it away, Francis.
In a mansplain minute, everything's explained. In a mansplain minute, tell the ladies what to say. In a mansplain minute.
Putting 1 minute on the man watch and go. Detective Conan. Listen, if our new thing that we're doing is picking a super obscure manga and then hassling me at 8 p.m. the night before the show post for a mansplain minute on something not only I have never heard of, but no one has ever heard of, I'm going to need to start outsourcing my cishet gatekeepy opinions. Fortunately for me, I can literally do that by going on Reddit. It has been 26 years since the first chapter of the manga was released, 24 since the first episode of the anime, and we still don't know jack about the organization. And Conan hasn't done any real investigating into the BO for years. It was his dad that finally figured out who the boss is. And the FBI people do more work than he does these days. Even the main cases are boring as hell now. I wish they would drop the whole whodunit aspect of the series altogether and just get on with the main plot. But I know that this is unrealistic. I feel like this whole thing has been dragging on for too long and probably should have ended a decade ago. But it's still huge in its home country, so what do I know? Or, I don't read the manga, but the anime is starting to piss me off. I mean, everywhere they go, someone ends up getting killed. And shouldn't Conan be an adult by now? The show aired in the 90s. Conan's supposed to be a teen or a young adult by now. And everyone gets killed. It's always the same. They meet 5 or 7 people in some place. One gets killed. The murderer is one of the surviving guys. That has been your Mansplain Minute.
Wow, Francis. Wow. Real good splain.
Gems.
Yeah, good job.
That was a gem splain.
Really feel like you captured the essence, truly.
For sure. For sure. Can I just say, I would like to blame it on the fact that we don't have guests very often, but I think we've had enough now that I do genuinely feel like it's bad that we didn't like ask Brenda to introduce herself or say who she is or what. Anyway, Brenda, would you like to introduce
Yes,
yourself?
please.
Hello. My name is Brenda. As you may have already gleaned. But who am I? That's the big question. My name is Brenda. My pronouns are she, her. I am co-host on 2 podcasts, Secret Histories of Nerd Mysteries that I do with my friend Austin, and then which is a kind of a nerdy history type podcast. And then my other podcast I do with 3 friends of mine. It's called Fictionalitea, and we just kind of pick another nerdy topic. But it's a little more chill and less structured, and it's a good time. Man, what else am I about? I don't know. I think I'm pretty neat, though.
I'm inclined to agree.
Yeah, for sure. Do you, independently of those podcasts, are there any nerdy things that you're involved in?
Let's see, what else do I do? I used to crochet Pokemon
Oh my god.
a lot.
And now you're making a cool rug.
I'm making this really cool Magikarp rug. I needed a break from crocheting because I'd literally been doing that for nonstop for 10 years as a form of survival. So I was just hey, we're going to learn a new skill. And I learned how to make rugs, and I'm making this giant Magikarp rug. And it's been a good time because crocheting involves counting. And rug making does not involve any counting. So I can listen to a podcast, or I can edit my podcast while listening to it. And
Wait, it involves
having a good
counting to crochet?
yeah,
like the
crocheting
number of
involves
stitches.
counting. Yeah. So it's constant, unless you're doing all single rows. If you're especially since I made stuffed animals, you have to count in order to add to the shape and to make the shape you're trying to make. So I would be crocheting. I live at my parents' right now, so I'd be crocheting, and my dad would be talking to me, and I'd just be wait a second, I am counting. Can't lose count, or it's over.
I knit but don't crochet, which is also counting. But the reason I can't crochet is I can never figure out where the next stitch is supposed to. I can never figure out what part of it you're supposed to put the stitch into.
It's the very top layer is where
It all looks the
supposed to go.
same.
I can't knit either. My friend's mom tried to teach me to knit once, and I just could not. I had both of the needles, and my one hand wanted to do the crochet motion, but that's not at all what knitting is. I was struggling so hard. I just can't do it. But crocheting, I can make any shape, no problem. I make these giant stuffed Pokemon, an almost full-sized Appleton. So
It's crocheting is a sandbox, I feel video game. And you just it's too chaotic. You can put the next stitch wherever you want. It can grow in every direction, and knitting is nicely on the rails.
yeah,
No.
knitting. Yeah, knitting. I feel if you what is it? You miss a loop. Is it loops?
Drop a stitch.
Yeah,
It's
if
a
you drop a
stitch, yeah.
that's it. Drop a stitch, it's over. But like crocheting, like I can kind of fudge it a little bit. Like every so often, especially if I'm making legs and the legs need to be all the same, sometimes that doesn't work out. But like I can miss one stitch and still get the shape close to the shape that I want.
I knit a scarf once.
Diana is so jealous.
I did. You know what? I never could get into knitting or crocheting. I don't know why exactly, but when I was a teenager and I was a volunteer at a hospital and I was the only person under 65 volunteering at a hospital. So all the old ladies that were volunteering with me, like really, really tried very hard to teach me how to knit. And I made a very crooked scarf and then I gave up forever.
Scarves are hard. I can't make scarves. I can make like any shape, other shape in existence, but like having to do a single stitch for 5 million years is not something I can do. That is difficult because that is one, if you like heck it up, it's over. Like,
Oh, well, that's very validating. Thank you. I just figured I
yeah,
was
so
bad at it.
wasn't you. No. Scarves are one of my co-hosts on Fictionality made like a blanket with like these beautiful crocheted stitches and I was just like, how did you do that? Like I can't do scarves or hats or blankets.
Well, I think that knitting a scarf is really easy and that you should be embarrassed.
Thanks, Avalon. Thank you. I am a little bit, but I'm also not ashamed. I can't be good at can't be good at all things.
Everything?
Yeah. And
Yeah, you are good at
I'm
everything
good at
else.
everything
so.
else. It's just knitting
Yeah.
that I fall short in. So there's that.
All right. I'm sorry that I took us down this path to our new knit crochet podcast.
That's all
Brenda,
right.
do you want to tell us what you're really here to talk about?
Yes, we're not talking about crocheting today.
No, we could.
Unfortunately.
but we're not.
I'm here to talk about Detective Conan / Case Closed, which has been my obsession since like July. And what it is, it's a manga / anime series that was started in 1994. It's about 17-year-old Shinichi Kudo, who at a theme park gets shrunk down into the form of a 6-year-old or a 7-year-old, they never specify, and has to solve the mystery of who shrunk him down and also a lot of other mysteries along the way.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Was
Yes.
he just shrunk down in size, or was he made to look like a 6 or 7-year-old? Or was he just shortened?
Okay, so really what it is he like kind of dissolves a little bit.
Oh my god.
It's kind of horrific.
Oh my god.
He literally like turns to steam and then is 6. So he still knows like that he was 17 and that he's not supposed to be a 6-year-old. But yeah, he literally just kind of like dissolves.
Okay.
It's not graphic, but there's a lot of steam, and that's what happened.
Okay. Got it. Excellent. I will be very careful of steam from now on. I don't want that to happen to me.
Was it a funhouse mirror situation? I feel like that would be conducive to somebody magically becoming shorter.
So what happens is Shinichi is on a kind of a date with his childhood friend Ron, and they go to this theme park, and they're kind of just like walking around, and Shinichi sees this shady guy, and he's just like, I think that this like shady deal's gonna go down, and I need to get to the bottom of it. And he just like leaves his childhood friend like behind. She's crying, by the way. He just like runs off, leaves her behind. She tries to follow him, but her shoe is untied, and she like trips and can't chase after him. So he's like running. He finds this like shady arms deal happening inside of this theme park, and he's just like, uh-oh, I gotta like go tell someone about this. And then one of the shady guys like hits him with a bat and then gives him this experimental drug, and then he's a child.
So
And
he
that's
already
the
had the
premise.
detective chops.
Yeah, so he
before.
was like this like pretty like famous like teen detective, and he was like really full of himself. Like he was like in the newspaper, and he was just like, look, I solved all these cases and I'm so cool. So it's kind of like a punished for his hubris type thing.
I see.
Got it.
Yeah.
Wow, so many branching questions.
Yeah.
So if he was famous, is it known that he's 6 now?
So the story, he doesn't tell anyone because he's afraid that like the organization that he was supposed to die. So like he's worried that the organization's going to figure out that he's still alive. So he doesn't tell anyone, except a couple people know, but most people don't know. So the story is that he's just like studying in America or something.
Got it.
He just
Okay.
yes.
So now is he still doing detective work now that he is a 6-year-old?
Yes, and that's like where the show
Okay.
goes. He moves in with his childhood friend Ron, who does not know he's Shinichi, and her dad is a private detective who's really bad at being a private detective. So Shinichi / Conan, which is the name that he takes, helps him solve all of these cases, and that's where the episodic nature of the show takes off from there.
Ooh.
Okay.
Is it
So does it have like Scooby-Doo vibes? I'm sorry. I'm just steamrolling.
Some
you.
Scooby-Doo vibes. It's like it's definitely more intense than Scooby-Doo is because a lot of people just assume this is like a show for kids, and it's not really. It can get like pretty like graphic sometimes because it involves like cases in which like some people are murdered, which Scooby-Doo doesn't really do.
Yeah,
Scooby-Doo's never had to solve a murder case, you know? So, yeah, it's a little more graphic, but there are Scooby-Doo vibes. I definitely would say that there are some Scooby-Doo vibes. It's just a little more intense than your average Scooby-Doo. They're not just like unmasking landlords and being like, uh-oh, Mr. Jenkins, what?
Yeah. It was you who ruined the garden? Yeah. Or whatever.
Yeah, stakes are a little lower, I guess, than
Yeah.
Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, there's like some pretty high stakes sometimes.
So, wow, where did my words go? When you say that it is episodic, is it wholly episodic, or is it like the way that some shows are episodic, but there is like a slow build to a meta plot, or does it completely remain episodic?
There is a slow build, which is really what makes it compelling. It's so good because like they'll have like just an average episode with a case, and you'll be like, okay, that was just a case episode, and then after the credits you'll find out more about the organization, or there'll be like a new character that's like really relevant. It's just like they kind of feed you the story in like little pieces, and then every so often they have like a big reveal, and it's like the most satisfying payoff I've maybe ever seen in a manga because the build-up is so slow. And then you'll have like 5 episodes of just like all like very intense plot stuff, and it's so good.
Oh, I like that.
So were you saying that there are after credit teasers?
Yes, every episode. An important thing to know if you ever decide to watch it, and like the first 43 episodes are on Crunchyroll. If you decide to watch it, there is an after credit scene after almost every episode. So a lot of the early episodes will just like stop like once they figure out like who the murderer was, and you'll be like, well, what was that? And it's because there's an after credit scene that kind of wraps everything up.
Oh, that is good to know because I don't usually expect that with non-Marvel TV shows. So yeah,
Sure.
so I
Yeah.
do shut things off before the credits often.
Yeah, this is important. You need to watch that after credit scene. And Conan was doing this way before Marvel was.
Yeah, Marvel definitely ripped off Conan. I think we
Definitely.
can all be comfortable agreeing on
Yes.
that.
100%.
So, first of all, I'm surprised to hear that you said that you've been super into it since July, because my assumption was that there's such a breadth of content that this would be something that you had been into for a much longer period of time in order to consume as much of it.
I can just consume. It helped that like one of my very close friends got really into it like a little bit before that. And they just kept messaging me about it so much that I was just like, I think I have to watch this so I can kind of like keep this conversation going. And so I started watching it, and then I just could not stop. Like, it was literally like I would kind of like wake up and like watch an episode on my phone, and then I would like go about my day. I'd watch an episode at breakfast. I'd watch one episode at lunch. So I was just like inhaling this show at like this absolutely rapid pace.
Well, that's a great endorsement for sure.
Yeah, it's just very engaging. Like go through like a mystery and then you're just like, oh, what happens? And then they give you that little sliver of the actual plot. And then you're like, well, I got to know like how this resolves. Like what's up with like this character? And you got to read more. It's very readable and somehow it never gets old, at least to me.
I am inclined to ask because I feel like there's always like a reason for not just liking a show, but like being like wanting to talk about it all the time and like being really invested. Do you have like, is there something about the show that like resonates with you or has like somebody that's relatable to you or some like, or is there something that you latch onto on a deeper level than just like enjoying it, or is it really just it's good entertainment?
I think it was really just that it was like different, and I just like hadn't really thought much about like the mystery genre, but also it's because it's like very very character based. So like a lot of like shonen like anime and manga can be like the characters just kind of there and they're like kind of, sorry, Leia's barking.
Right.
Okay, I think she's done.
Well, it's her birthday, so
Yeah.
It's her birthday. She can cry if she
like
wants
lay off.
to.
Yeah.
Let her be on the show.
Yeah.
It's very character based, and all of the characters are like very interesting.
Yeah.
I think that's what I like about it. I like really like solid like character based stuff, and they go through like actual growth throughout the series, which you wouldn't think for a series that's been running since 1994. It has over 1,000 like chapters and 1,000 episodes of the anime and 24 movies.
Oh wow.
You wouldn't think that you would get it.
Yeah, that's what when I said I can't believe it's just been since July.
I know. And it's like also like there's so many different characters that so like when you kind of get like tired of like being interested in one, you can be like, okay, well, what's this character off doing? Or like another character will show up. You know, when the series kind of like progressed mid 2000s ish, when like the original like group of people who were like watching it had gotten older, they introduced like older characters too that were like really interesting and like new. It's just like, and also there's just like a lot of theories. Like there's a plot that you have to like stitch together, and this like overarching like theme of immortality and like what it takes to get it, which you wouldn't expect.
Wow.
There's so many layers. Like whenever you kind of like get disinterested in like one part of it, there's like something else that you can latch onto. There's just so much of it.
So I may be seeking out false equivalencies, but based on how long it's been around, Pokemon is coming to mind. Does it sort of reboot itself in a similar way? Like, how are these thousands of episodes structured? Or is it like Gundam, where it's sort of the same thing, but not actually the same verse all the time? Or JoJo? Or
It's the same verse the whole time.
oh wow, that's a lot.
So you get that question where like, also in Conan, the time that has passed is like maybe like a couple months to a year. Like in all of these thousands episodes, not a lot of time has passed.
Wow.
So you get the wild like juxtaposition of like the first couple episodes. There's like no like the first chunk of episodes. There's no cell phones. There's like everyone's using fax machines. Everyone's using landlines. Conan / Nietzsche has to like talk to people like on a payphone outside Ron's house. Like, and then now everyone just has cell phones.
Right.
And the wildest thing is that like at the beginning, one of the characters buys like a new car. And he still has that same car, but now everyone's always just like, that old junker. And it's like, that car was new apparently a couple months ago.
That's wild.
Yeah, you can't really think about it too much. This show was not supposed to go on this long. Like the creator was just like, there's this big detective mystery craze in Japan that we want to just like jump on. It's going to run for a couple months, just like all my other like mangas.
Right.
And then that'll be it. And then it just never stopped.
So have you finished it all?
Oh yeah, good question.
I'm current on the anime, and then I'm past where the US has printed volumes. So like the US is really far behind. The manga has been released up to volume, I think 79, I think, is coming out this month. But Japan's like up to like volume 99 maybe. So we're like really far behind in content. So I have been maybe finding it elsewhere, question mark. You didn't hear that from me?
Okay.
And I'm currently catching up on that so I can be like current.
Got it.
So
Wow.
I did a quick Google because I had never heard of this before. And I just want to say that I like the art of the main character of Detective Conan is actually like I don't know what I was expecting. I was expecting maybe something a little bit sillier, but he really does look exactly like what I would picture if a 6-year-old was secretly an adult businessman. He's so
He's so intense.
so intense looking. It's so good. I like it. My next question though is I get that you're current on the anime and you're currently devouring like the other forms of content for this series. Are you at all like invested in or aware of any like fandom-y things for this show? Like, are you engaged with like the online fandom for the show, or like is there a cosplay community for the show, or anything else that you've kind of explored from there?
Really, the closest I've gotten to the fandom is that I have like published like 1 or 2 fanfics, but mostly I'm just writing them for like my friend, and we just kind of have fun doing that. I'm not super interested in being like part of the fandom too much. I've seen some of it, and I'm just like, I don't think I can do this anymore. I don't think I can be part of a fandom. There isn't too much of a fandom here in the United States either, because it was aired on Cartoon Network on Adult Swim as under the title Case Closed, and they only got to episode 50 on Adult Swim, and then Funimation only dubbed up to episode 140, and that has been it up until very recently.
Wow. Okay.
Oh,
So
I remember catching it on Adult Swim.
Yeah.
And it was just it didn't fit with the time
It
block.
didn't fit.
It was more of a Toonami daytime thing, it felt like to me.
Yeah, the only thing that kept it from being on Toonami was like some of like the earlier manga has some kind of more gruesome scenes. They've chilled that out a lot. Sure. So that's kind of why it got relegated to Adult Swim. But in America, no one really knew where to put it. That was the issue. They were like, does this go on Adult Swim because of like the more intense content? Can we dumb this down and like put this on Fox Kids, which really happened. Almost happened. They like really tried to adapt it for Fox Kids and realized it was literally impossible.
We talked about card captors recently, so it's, I think, another funny example of Fox Kids messing something up. I think that was Fox Kids. I could be wrong.
That was on WB.
Bah.
I only know because I was really into it.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I love card captors, but that's another wild dub. And similar to Card Captors, Case Closed, they changed all the names, which was not really being done at the time with anime, especially not on Adult Swim. Like Inuyasha didn't change any of the names, and like Cowboy Bebop.
Oh, I was like,
Koi Boy
Boy. I don't know what that is.
Koi Boy. Cowboy Bebop. They didn't change any of the names. So the fact that like the Funimation dub decided to change the names for like the Adult Swim version was like very weird and kind of like outdated at that time in 2004.
Oh, yeah.
And this is also an anime from 1996 that was being adapted in 2004. So it just didn't fit in.
Yeah. I see that most of the popular fan fictions that don't make me want to claw my eyes out from the tags.
Oh yeah, there's let me warn you.
Yeah.
God, I should have warned you. That's why I don't.
know what I'm getting
That's
into
why I
when
don't.
I go on AO3. I know what I know.
There's like, yeah, but there's some. I can't wait until you can block like authors on AO3 because I got a couple I gotta block immediately.
Yes.
Like,
But I do see that it's very common. There are a lot of popular ones that put Detective Conan in the Sherlock universe, which I think is probably very fun. I think that looks like a fun time.
Shinichi's also just like the biggest fan of Sherlock Holmes in general. They call him like, it kind of translates to like the Sherlock Holmes of the modern day.
Yeah.
Modern day. He's very obsessed with Holmes. He learned how to play the violin because of Sherlock Holmes. He tries to emulate him all the time to the annoyance of everyone around him. There's one movie where he gets to go to a virtual reality version of like Sherlock Holmes's London. It's a big inspiration.
That would now answers a lot of my questions as to why that's so common. That makes very, very good sense.
Yes.
So when, just in terms of watching this, I know that you said that Crunchyroll has some of the first episodes. Is there like, is this kind of strewn across multiple platforms, or is there like one place where you can watch it all?
So there's one place you can watch from episodes like, is it like 750, I think? 750 until current, and that's on Crunchyroll. And then Crunchyroll has episodes 1 through 40. But that whole stretch in the middle, that couple hundred episodes right there, unavailable right now.
Oh.
If you're lucky, you can find like the Funimation DVDs or like other DVDs on eBay.
Oh, wow.
maybe aren't legit, if you catch my drift. But that whole chunk is just like missing right now. Like, we just don't have any access to it.
Interesting. Is that hypothetically how you've seen them? Do you buy the DVDs?
I have some DVDs. I started watching on Netflix, which originally had like a couple episodes before Crunchyroll started, but the license for that has since expired since over the summer. And there's like some chunk of the anime that I still have not seen, but I've read all of that chunk of the manga.
So
I hope that made sense.
It does, but that sounds like a mess. Is there something weird with like property rights, or?
For a while, it was Funimation sat on the license until 2018, I think, is when they kind of just sat on it. They like dubbed the first one, I think it was 150. I could be wrong, but they dubbed like about 100 episodes and then stopped. And then in 2009, like way after they'd stopped dubbing, they did go back and they did a couple of the movies. And then they just sat on the license, and you could watch what they had the rights to for a while, but they didn't proceed any further beyond what they'd already done. And they didn't, they wouldn't let anyone else do it either. Crunchyroll picked it up once that license had expired, but all those episodes that were coming out before Crunchyroll got that license just have not been subbed officially and released streaming anywhere.
Did Funimation do a bad job with the ones that they did, as they have done poor jobs
in
with
the
other
past
things? Yeah.
I think it was bad. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Yeah. There's a couple voice actors that I did enjoy, like, their performances, but they tried to do the thing where they added in, like, jokes. So, like, there's a joke in the first episode, which was released in 1996, where they were like, gotta go get some DVDs. And it's like, we know that wasn't a thing. They try to add, like, pop culture references to, like, American things, too, which is just like, I know we're in Japan, but you won't admit it. Like,
yeah.
It's like a Phoenix Wright type situation where they're just like, this is definitely a city in America called Baker and not in Japan, not a part of Tokyo. Definitely not.
Weird.
If they were to, and I am saying this knowing full well that the answer might be, they already did this, Diana, catch up. But if they were to make like a live action version of this, would you be mad or happy?
So they did do a couple live action specials.
Oh, they did. Okay.
And one of those at least I know is available to watch on Amazon Prime, but I've seen like clips of it and it's like, it's just kind of shaky, like a little bit half-assed. It was made for TV, so it's like there wasn't a lot of a budget, so I totally accept it. But it's just like kind of like, it's like a prequel So it's just like Shinichi, who's insufferable, solving a case. Like,
Oh. That seems like an interesting approach. I guess does he ever turn back into a teenager in the cartoon?
yes, there's a couple of times where there's like a experimental antidote for the drug that like made him small. So it only lasts for like a certain amount of time, and the more he takes it, the less effective it is. So there's a couple. Yeah, so it's like that's stressy. So like what happens is like he'll like be back and like he'll be Shinichi again, and he'll like go to school and he'll be like, I really gotta have this antidote so I can like go on my school trip. And then it's like stressy because he'll like start like he'll like start like shrinking again, and he'll be like, oh my god, no. Like you never know when it's gonna happen, so it's like very
Like
stressful.
he'll
when
be
it
on
happens.
a school trip, like trying to flirt with someone, and then, oh no, it's wearing off.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Like there's one episode that's like like very emotionally devastating where it's the first time he like is able to change back into Shinichi, and he's like, this is gonna last forever. He doesn't know it's temporary yet, and he goes to the restaurant with Ron, his love interest, where his parents propose to each other, and he wants to have this like very romantic like dinner with her, and like a case happens and he has to solve that first. But while he's solving the case, he starts to change back, and he's just like, I'm gonna have to leave Ron at this restaurant. And then he changes back and he like walks back out as Conan, and he's just like, hey Ron, Shinichi had to leave, and Ron's just like had enough.
No.
Like it's so stressful. And I think that's the show also has like kind of like romance vibes to it. I definitely don't think Shinichi and Ron should be together.
Ooh,
but
okay.
Sure.
there's also like just like kind of like that shoujo romance feeling to it too.
So Ron lives with Conan, but doesn't know.
Yeah, she does not know. Like
Oh.
Conan initially wanted to tell her, but there's this other character who's like this like professor guy, and he was just like, no, you can't tell her because that would put her in danger. And like Shinichi's just like, okay, well, yeah, I guess that checks out, and just decides to never tell her. And then eventually it kind of just gets to the point where it's like, I just can't tell her because I've been lying for so long. And he's like wrapped up in this whole thing. And there's a couple times where like Ron maybe suspects it, and then it just kind of is pushed back by the fact that like, well, that can't happen. Like Conan can't be, that doesn't make any sense. Like,
Yeah.
So
yeah.
In a recent episode, we were talking about Snick, and I was talking about 100 Deeds for Eddie McDowd. And I feel like it's the same thing where it's kind of like violating to be around somebody who is not who you think they are.
Yeah, that's it's the same vibe. So it's kind of just like, ugh. And he's also just like, she just can't ever know, and it's like she's gotta know, and it's like once she knows, like your relationship is over. Like you can't come back from that. Like it's just over,
It's
buddy.
Too
Like,
much.
yeah.
Too much. I also have a problem with the trope of like main character is lying to the person they're around all the time about something huge.
yeah.
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 I dislike it.
And like the show doesn't like sugarcoat it either. They're like, this is a major issue, and like you can't. It's not going to be okay in the end. They can't just come. Also, Shinichi's just kind of an asshole. Like,
So, do you? I guess for me, the stakes are not as high as like a Tobias situation, because he's just going to grow up again, right? In theory. So he's been like
aging.
gifted 11 years.
Right.
Yeah, I'm assuming.
assuming that he's gonna age, but not enough time has passed to actually know. There is like a an OVA, an original video animation, where they like cover that. Like Conan Has a Nightmare, where he did grow up as Conan, and like everything's moved on, and it's like very emotionally devastating.
Sure.
But yeah, so he would in theory just grow up, but the thing is, like, he doesn't want to. He's like, I can just go back to being myself, like everything's gonna be okay.
So I would say that Avalon's right. It's not as high stakes as being trapped as a literal bird
As a dog.
Or a dog. Yeah, I'm all over the place right now with that.
for all of eternity.
Which, whatever we're talking about, yeah. Yeah, it's
Not
not.
quite.
He'll be okay, but he just absolutely does not want to be a kid.
Yeah.
Like, he's just, like, absolutely done.
I would love that. I would love to just be like 6 now and
You're-
get to relive my life with the knowledge I have right now.
Absurd. Absurd could not pay me to go back to the hell that is childhood. Could not.
Well, there's
pay me.
another character. There's another character who also got like shrunk down. She's actually the creator of like the drug that did it. And she's just like pretty content to like be a kid again. Like she doesn't have like any drive to like actually develop the antidote, except for the fact that Shinichi wants it so bad. She's just pretty content to just like go to school and like hang out because she never really got that opportunity before.
Oh, see, there's different perspectives.
I would rock being a kid this time around. I would do it so well.
No, I would be painfully reminded that I am just as uncool as I was when I was a kid the first time, and that the only thing that changed was that I sought out the right people, and it would just be so painful. I could never. Nope.
Who's your favorite character?
Oh man. I'm trying to think like who would be my favorite. There's like every character's like very flawed. I think the character I'm most interested in seeing like what he does is going to be Toru Amuro. He's like this very intense. He like works, quote unquote, works at this like cafe. He's got like all these like crazy skills, and you kind of unravel his stories as you go. And it's like this guy's like a little bit shady, but it's just like interesting to see like all the different masks that this guy wears. He's like a double agent. He's like, for a while you think that he's like working for like the bad guy, but maybe he isn't, but maybe he's still really shady. Like it's just like was really satisfying to unravel.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
But he's definitely really shady.
Is there a love dynamic between Conan and the also shrunk scientist lady?
She likes to like tease him about it, but they haven't really like fully gone like into that thread. Like every so often she'll just be like, oh, I've got a crush on you, and then she'll be like, psych.
Good. Great. Love
Sure.
that.
Good one.
Yeah.
I love her. She's a great character.
That's a very fun trick that people can play on each other. What a fun little. I've never
It's like Conan's
heard of that one before.
like Conan's definitely not interested in her at all, but every so often just to like kind of like see if he's paying attention, she'll just like tease him about it. But it's not really
Cute.
It's not really pursued.
Okay.
What is that? What nerve did that just hit? Weirdo.
Look, I don't know. I'm just, I'm not saying that particular trick has been played on me. I'm just saying that if it had happened to me, it would be not a fun one.
Valid. That is valid.
I hope this is okay. Because this is completely divorced from our topic. Completely whatsoever. But about half an hour ago, Avalon mentioned Pokemon. And it reminded me of my favorite new question to ask people. And so I want to ask both of you, if you feel comfortable with it. How would you say your name if you were a Pokemon?
Oh, Jesus.
I have sent out a lot of DMs in the last couple of days asking people that question, and have gotten some great video footage back.
Well, let me get really close to the mic. You can't hear this because I'm using a different microphone to talk to you. But all right, here we go. Let's see. What would it sound like? Brenda!
Yes!
Brenda!
I like that.
I love that.
That's the best I got.
It's pretty good.
Mine's more embarrassing, but if I'm following my heart, it would be kind of like a Ninetales situation where it's like sexy. I just feel like it would be like Avalon. Like it would be like low and like weird. It would make you feel weird, and you wouldn't understand
like,
why.
This is a performance.
Yes. And I think that mine would be something obnoxious, like Diana or something like that.
Yeah.
Cute.
Yeah.
My favorite part about it is how they sort of loop back certain syllables. So, like, yours would need to be like, Diana, die.
Yeah.
Die.
Or like when I want attention, it's like die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Diana. I love that.
Yeah. Exactly.
What would you do for mine? If pretend like I hadn't said it.
I
what would
mean,
you do for mine?
your interpretation is obviously right.
Okay.
I think that's spot on.
Because I feel self-conscious about it that I try to make like a fuckable Pokemon.
No, well, first of all, it's Pokemon's fault for doing it first, and you're just living within their reality.
Sure.
That's all it is. You did nothing
Okay.
wrong.
Because I'm worried.
No,
Okay.
absolutely not. All right, thank you for going on that
Cool.
little tangent with me. It really, really brightened my day. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Before we wrap things up, Brenda, do you have any other like super important or like things that you absolutely love that need to be said about Detective Conan or Case Closed that needs to be said? Any hot takes?
I would just say, like, I get that it might not be for everyone, but if you're looking for, like, something that's, like, a different kind of anime, or you just need something that's, like, kind of slice of lifey that's only, like, a little bit romance, I definitely would recommend it. There's literally, like, a little bit of something for everyone. There's action, there's mystery, there's intrigue. It's really fascinating. I think, like, a lot of people just don't really know that it's out there. And I didn't know it was out there. I mean, I did, but I didn't, you know? Like,
Yeah.
and then I rapidly consumed it over how many months has it been?
Right,
Who knows?
just a couple.
What is time?
Since July.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there any characters, plot elements, settings that we didn't get to touch on that you feel like?
I didn't
so
really talk about the organization that's like the villains of the whole series. They're serious. Like, you spend a lot of time, like, the main plot focuses on like trying to figure out like where these different members are like hiding, and it's always very interesting and satisfying to like be like, which character is Bourbon, because they all have alcohol names. Like,
I like a themed naming system.
yeah, which the dub decided not to use initially.
Sure.
Which is why they were like, no, name after the three wise men, I guess. Like, why did you?
What?
There's like two main characters, like the two main villains, like named Gin and Vodka, and they were like, name them after the wise men. It's like, why
That
can't you
feels
just
very
name them
American
Gin?
Yeah.
to me. Like, kids,
It feels like they were like censoring
can't
it
hear
for
alcohol.
children. Yeah, but it's
Bible.
like this was on Adult Swim. Like, so I
Nah,
don't
full Bible.
understand. It's so baffling.
Which is the target audience of Adult Swim is Christians, for sure.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Every single program on Adult
Very.
Swim, Christians love it. They love Rick.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you for telling us about the show. We do try to do some homework for each episode, so we will definitely be checking the show out and reporting back on on our experiences with it. I'm very excited to do so. Before we wrap up, though, do you have anything to plug? Any things that you have coming up that you're excited about?
Let's see. I don't think I have anything coming up, but please check out, I mentioned my podcast earlier, Secret History of Nerd Mysteries and Fictionalitea. That's TEA, as in tea that you drink. Both of those I have a lot of fun making, and my co-hosts on both of them are like really awesome people. And if you like nerdy stuff, please check it out.
I co-sign
that's all
both those podcasts. I really enjoy both of them. And I think that at least Secret History of Nerd Mysteries, we have is one of the ads that we cycle through in the beginning.
Yes, yes. I will. I plan on putting it in front of this one because of relevance.
There you
yes. So, Avalon, what are you going to do after this?
I think you know what I'm going to do after this.
I know the answer.
Yeah, we're going to bank some episodes.
Yes. We're going to keep recording.
Because I am not going to be available for a couple weeks, so we're going to see how that goes. We've never done this before.
Nope. We'll see if by the end of the next episode, I'm like, I don't know, Avalon. I'm over. I don't know. No, it'll be fine.
I'm not going to let that happen.
No. Brenda, what are you going to do after this?
So I think I haven't had lunch yet because I was running late. It's 3:00 in the afternoon here. So I think I'm going to have a little bit of lunch and then maybe do some cleaning or take a nap. We'll find out which one happens later.
I feel like that's a tough competition between napping and cleaning. Who's going to win?
Yeah.
Napping always wins. For me, personally.
A strong contender.
Usually. The third contender is this hot tub that sits in the corner of my basement. Like, that's also, like, just always tempting because it just sits there. Like,
yeah.
You should also just sit there in that hot tub. You
In
should
the
be in
hot
that hot
tub.
tub right now.
Yeah.
It's cold again, so
Make it hot.
we always joke about, like, recording from the hot tub, and I
Yes.
just can't imagine how hellish that would sound.
Oh, yeah.
All of the splashing.
Well, as long as you're not the one editing, that sounds great.
It's always me.
Yes. Yeah, I don't edit, so sounds fun.
A lot of editing is just being like, stop hitting your cup on the desk.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's my big one.
Hitting-
But sometimes it's directed at me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's usually me hitting my own mic with my face because I have it really close to my face and I like hit into it and it's just like this little like sound that I have to get rid of.
As opposed to my UFO noise.
Yeah, you don't have a UFO noise. You have just that like the little like punching bag sound for when you hit the mic.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It like reverberates a little
And
bit.
Brenda, I'll let you know what yours is. I don't think you.
I've been trying really hard not to like set anything down on my desk because it's hollow.
Oh man, I've
but
been
there's a
playing
chance
so
that
fast and loose.
there's a chance that I've done it because always a couple. I think I typed at one point to bring something up, so that'll show up too.
Oh yeah, that'll be fine. It happens. All right. Well, thank you for coming on. Thank you for spending this time with us and for talking and nerding out. We really, really appreciate it. Please, listeners, go check out Brenda on all of the socials and check out her podcasts, please. You can find all of our Femsplained content either on patreon.com/Femsplained, Twitter, you can find us at FemsplainedCast, Instagram, you can find us at Femsplained Podcast, and you can check out superdylan.com/Femsplained to find the guest form and all of the different places where you can listen and connect with us.
Awesome. You can find and follow me, Avalon, at @A_CatAttack on both Twitter and Twitch.
And you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, TikTok, and all the places at SuperDylan. And that is DILLIN.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your support. Bye.
Bye.
Fun